Our bike broke down. We had to walk back like 5 miles. I like your answer. As women are just running up the stairs with their bikes, like, catch up.
Yes.
Hi everyone, I'm DAPHNAY Sigel and I'm from Evanston, Illinois.
And I'm Diamond Allen from St. Louis, Missouri. We actually met in 2018 in Greece, which is a great story we love to tell.
Yeah.
We were on a group trip and we were like, oh, you're from Chicago? I'm from Chicago. And then we realized we lived close to each other once we got here, and we've been together ever since.
Yeah.
So it's been a great story.
So Streets Calling was founded in 2020 in the peak of COVID. And the reason why Streets Calling was created was mainly because there was actually nothing else to do when it came to exercising. Cycling was one of the main things that you could do without catching COVID. So what we did was we actually started riding with a small group of people. As we kept riding, more people wanted to get our social connection. Then that turned into a group of over 1,000 people and additional chapters around the world. And also other chapters that do want to collaborate with us, in which we do travel and go see them as well and ride along with them.
Following up with what Daph said, we did see an opportunity to support our community. Within Streets Calling, we support minority-owned businesses with our network that has grown so big, like Daphne mentioned, where after each ride, we go to these businesses and use our Black dollars to help build these businesses up, because we know during COVID, those were the businesses that suffered the most, and we noticed that. So we took this opportunity to help in our own communities, which is great. The original plan was just to ride our bikes to get out and get some fresh air. As people begin to see the community that we had a couple friends who owned businesses who asked us to stop and support them. Or actually, I think the first one we stopped at a lemonade stand. We stopped out the lemonade stand, and it was just some kids that were so happy.
There was no lemonade after 10 minutes. So.
And they were so happy, and it felt so good for us, like to see them, we're supporting them, how happy they were, and then also just see the impact that our organization had on this small business. And then Daph and I and other members have friends who own businesses throughout the city of Chicago that were also suffering because they were closed or because of limitations and things of that sort. So whether we would able to have them pull up to us at a park and sell their foods and things, or we can pull up to them at their venue, we realized this was an opportunity to support our communities and help build them up.
And we also found it a great time to use it as a social activist mode as well. During the George Floyd movement, we found that a lot of people wanted to come together, become a community, and understand that it is regular for minorities to cycle, and it is regular for minorities to support each other in the midst of that heat. My earliest memory riding a bike, my big brother taught me how to ride a bike. Of course, it was a psych out moment where I had no idea where he let go and immediately fell. And that's how I learned how to ride my first bike.
My first memory of riding a bike is also, funny enough, from my brother, but it was more because he was riding his bike and I was like, I want to ride my bike. And I just tried to keep up with him. Of course, I fell a lot, but it was more because he was riding his and I was like, I want to learn how to ride my bike. And so that's how I first learned how to ride a bike.
Since Streets Calling Bike Club has started, my relationship with cycling has evolved in many different ways. So I'm cycling more often. I find it as a way to gather with friends, a social movement for all of us to hang out with each other, a way to clear my mind when I don't want to be cooped up in the house. It is a very free way to get exercise and to actually just be around your friends at the same time.
For me, I think as a kid, I started riding for entertainment, hanging with my friends. I actually remember one time I was at my grandparents' house and I got lost on my bike and my whole family had to come find me. It was a very traumatic experience, so I paused on riding my bike for a while. And then as an adult, you ride it as more fun and leisure. Once I moved to Chicago, exploring the lake, exploring the city, it's a lot easier than finding parking, but nothing too intense. And then of course, 2020 happened and you needed more reasons to go outside and be active and not gain that COVID weight. So cycling came back into my life, which then evolved into the bike club, which is part of my everyday life at this point. So it's highly evolved since I was a child. Challenges that I faced as a cyclist, probably one, finding the correct bike. This is now my fourth bike that I think I went through, because I've tried so many. As someone who was just more riding for fun and not so long distance before, I had no idea what I was doing, and I went from like the Walmart bike to like mountain bike, and all of those didn't work until I found the perfect bike. So it took me that time to learn what fits me, and including a bike seat, which you have to go around for. And then I will also say, just being a girl, particularly a Black girl, and wearing a helmet is a struggle because of hairstyles and how your hair looks once it gets out the helmet, and all those good things are the only two struggles I think I've faced. I don't think it's been anything too daunting becoming a cyclist.
One of the biggest challenges of being a cyclist is when you first start off, you think that like riding a bike can be really easy. Then as soon as you get on the bike, you find that it's quite challenging when it comes to keeping up your speed, making sure that you're breathing correctly, making sure that you're keeping up a right pace, and also making sure that you're actually getting exercise in, rather than just lollygagging and just riding around and cruising around, actually trying to get some exercise in. So just learning yourself and knowing what exactly it takes for you to be an active cyclist can be probably the hardest part.
In multiple ways. I think cycling is in our daily routine, once because of the bike club that we organize and keeping that afloat and making sure our members are enjoying themselves and planning and keeping ahead of everything. But also when we think about things, me and Daph actually like to go downtown, definitely in the summer times, and we're like, who wants to find parking in downtown Chicago? And biking makes it a lot easier to do so, and just finding somewhere to lock up your bike. So using it as a source of transportation here in Chicago, not having to deal with parking, not having to deal with a bunch of traffic, makes life a lot easier.
So cycling does play a active role in my daily life, and the reason why that is, a lot of my friends live downtown, and it's just so much easier to ride my bike to them. I could get my exercise in through riding bikes. Also working with Streets Calling Bike Club, finding routes, doing the actual route, and working with a bike club every day. I find myself looking at my bike on a daily basis.
Or helping other people with their bikes. We get a lot of questions about bikes, people asking us how to help them find the right bike, and then just knowing that we are part of a bike community. If the weather is nice, you're on your bike. So,
exactly.
Yes.
Yes, Streets Calling has been a really big impact on my cycling experience. I would say that prior to Streets Calling Bike Club, I didn't own a bike at that time. And I remember both me and Diamond bought our first adult bikes during COVID so that we can start cycling and exercising. So since then, I would call myself a great cyclist now. Our first bike ride was pretty terrible. I think we rode 5 miles. Our bike broke down. We had to walk back 5 miles. It was a very interesting experience. So I think in the cycling community, it has been completely taken over by men. When you look at a lot of cycling clubs, you will not necessarily see too many women in cycling clubs, or Black women in cycling clubs either. So it could be a bit intimidating, which is one of the reasons why we do Streets Calling Bike Club, so that we can bring everyone out at all different athletic levels to come cycle and find exactly how to improve in their athletic levels. So we have to create our own organizations, our own movements, so that women feel more comfortable cycling.
I would say being a woman of color has been a blessing and kind of a curse in this situation. One, because like Daphne said, it's been very hard to be seen as leaders and in this organization, just because we are women. Not so much the women of color, but we are women. But because we are women of color, we do get a little bit of extra attention when it is realized that we are the organizers, because it's something that is so rare, which helps us and gets people on our side, definitely from people looking for more diversity and inclusions with organizations, because we are a nonprofit that gets us a lot more love and attention at times. So because it's something that is so rare, sometimes we can use it to our advantages to help build up the organization. I feel like every time we're on our bikes, and people see this many minorities on a bike together, it's empowering. People wave, people ask us what we're doing. A lot of people think we're protesting most of the time because of that, unfortunately. But it is empowering to let a big city like Chicago see something so new, and that's such a movement where, and then we actually seen ourselves, we'll see ourselves being recorded and on other platforms. People like this huge cycling group came through.
Yeah.
But I think it's very empowering every time we're on our bike. Just to, like, you hear the music playing, you see the impact it is on the streets. You see police like who just pulling, stopping traffic for us just because they see the impact for us. So for me, I feel it every time we're on our bikes together, the impact we have as being minorities, cyclists.
I also think the community just loves to see Black people come together for a good cause. So you see people honking at us, they're rooting for us, and they just try their hardest to do whatever they can to make sure that the organization is continuing on, because it's something that Chicago, as well as other organizations, need.
What I feel like Bike Girl Magic is within this organization, I personally feel how the sense of community that women feel biking together, I think is amazing, and just coming together, sweating, not cared about really what you look like, being happy, having fun, laughing, and then exercising at the same time is such a unique experience. And I think being a girl on a bike and being able to experience that, feel safe, feel open to play your music, laugh, talk while you're riding, is in my head a sense of what Bike Girl Magic would be.
Riding on the south side of Chicago as a Black woman causes a lot of great attention. I think it's just something that isn't necessarily something that happens too often, and I think people are just rooting for that feeling, and it's such an empowering feeling you have inside where you're just like, I'm that girl, yes. I cycle, I'm athletic, and I could do anything a man could do, so.
We do stairs, so we have the members carry their bikes upstairs throughout Chicago. Downtown Chicago has a lot of stairs. And having all these men, and they're like, do you need help? You're like, no, I got it. And you're carrying your bike on your shoulder up some stairs. It's a very empowering moment. You might be out of breath, you might be a little sweaty, but you're like, I did that.
Yes, I can do whatever you can do.
Because I did that.
And it's interesting seeing the guys struggling as women are just running up the stairs with their bikes, like, catch up.
Yes.
One thing that people don't know about Streets Calling Bike Club is that we are an inclusive bike club for everyone. Although it is Black owned, minority owned, we want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable in riding with us. We get that question all the time. You can find us on Instagram at streetscalling.bc, or you can find us on Facebook at Streets Calling Bike Club, or you can find us on our website at www.streetscallingbc.com.
Yes, and also one more other thing to note, we actually have a chapter in DC as well, which is very big. It's growing as big as our Chicago chapter. We're very proud of it. It was our second chapter that opened up in 2020. It's a little bit more intense of a cycling group because of all those hills in DC if you've ever visited. But if you're in the Chicago area or DC, we have 2 chapters for you to be a part of, and we're looking to extend that even more to different cities and states.